Welcome to Out of the Box from Hudson County Community College. In these podcasts, we bring you timely discussions about education, people, programs, events, issues, and solutions that affect the education and enrichment of the people of Hudson County. I'm Reber, President of Hudson County Community College, and your podcast host. In this session, we'll discuss the college's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM programs and offerings. Joining me today are Dr. Burl Yearwood, our Associate Dean of STEM. Dr. Yearwood, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And also Lacey Shelby, who is one of our STEM students with a rich story that we look forward to discussing today. Lacey, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're talking about a really inspirational program at Hudson County Community College. Our STEM faculty, our students, our programs are cutting edge. They are housed in a new state-of-the-art multi-level STEM building that we're very proud of, that we opened in 2017. And Dr. Yearwood leads the program. So, and by the way, I'd like to say Dr. Yearwood, of course, has his doctorate. I earned my doctorate long ago. Lacey's pursuing hers. So let's call each other by our first names if we could, which is something that I like to do on campus. Burl, tell us a little bit about our STEM division and the programs we offer.
Thank you, Chris. I'm happy to. So our STEM division is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as you mentioned. It is composed of the natural sciences, which are biology, chemistry, physics. We also offer our engineering. So we have computer technology. We have our engineering science. And of course, the M is the math, which underpins all of the other sciences. So we have a fantastic building. Students are always excited to come take classes. We have very well-equipped labs, which is very important for STEM. And of course, our faculty are among the best. So it's exciting.
It really is. Tell us a little bit about the facilities, if you would.
So, as you mentioned, it's a multi-story building, which is unique at a community college to have a building dedicated to STEM. And so we have lecture rooms in the building, we have offices for faculty, of course we have labs. Also unique to the building, and I don't know that I've seen this in many other STEM buildings, 4-year or 2-year colleges, is we have dedicated breakout rooms for students. So students can come and study in small groups. And that's something that we try to encourage our STEM students to do, to develop that team dynamic. They learn about it when they have to do lab together, but being able to study, explore concepts, prepare presentations in a dedicated space, I think that's fantastic for our students. So the STEM building, the different floors are dedicated to different areas. So on our second floor, it's mostly classrooms. There's also a computer science lab. On our third floor, then there are also classrooms, but now we have labs for geology. And as we move up, we have labs for biology, chemistry, our computer science program. So each floor is separate, but because it's in the same building, it allows that collaboration between different areas. Plus, it allows our students to, if they have a biology class, they're in the building, and if they have to go for chemistry, they just go a floor up, and rather than having to run across campus. So it's it's also very convenient for our students.
Nice cafe there. Every level has its own color scheme.
Yes.
But I know my background's in the humanities, so I have to be honest. I don't know what I'm talking about. But the labs, some of them are really sophisticated, right? Microbiology. I mean, you've got some state-of-the-art equipment in those labs.
We do. We've been fortunate to be able to acquire some very expensive but very necessary equipment. Our microbiology lab, we have refrigerators, specific refrigerators to store samples. Our chemistry labs have some very advanced fume hoods. Our biology labs, again, the models that are there that students can use to study anatomy. Even our computer science labs, the computers and the software that we have on there are more than I think most students expect to find at a community college.
And also with panoramic views of Manhattan. It's
Oh my
really,
goodness.
it's a fabulous facility. Burl, tell us a little bit about your personal story. I know you were born in St. Kitts in the Caribbean. Prior to coming here, I think you've been here since 19. You were at LaGuardia Community College and then earlier at St. Louis Community College.
Yes.
How did you get from the Caribbean to the United States and into the community college sector?
So that's a long and interesting story. So coming from a small island in the Caribbean, beautiful, beautiful island, with a educational system that is very British based, which has its plus and minuses. So once I graduated college, or what's called sixth form in the British educational system, I had a choice. There was a fork in the road, and the choices were to go to a British university or go to an American university. A lot of my friends were going to British universities at the time. I could also have gone to the University of the West Indies, which is a fantastic university. But I chose the American system because at that time, to me, it offered more flexibility in what I could do. And at that time, I had a lot of different interests. And so when I started applying to schools, I was focused on becoming a doctor.
A medical doctor?
A medical
Okay.
doctor.
Yep.
And so I applied to schools that had medical schools. And I chose the University of Alabama because not only did they have an excellent medical school in Birmingham, but I would be able to move to that school almost seamlessly once I had done my bachelor's. Plus, there was a part of me that was interested in learning what life in the South was like. So I went to the University of Alabama, got my degree, went to Wayne State University, which is in Detroit, to experience something totally different from living in the South. And Detroit was a wonderful educational environment for me. From there, as you mentioned, I did a postdoc in University of Kentucky, and then I started teaching at St. Louis University, or the community college. From there, I moved to the City University of New York, which was LaGuardia Community College, and I was there for almost 15 years, learned a lot. And then the opportunity opened up here at Hudson, and it was an exciting opportunity for me, one that I could not pass up on. And
I remember when you interviewed, we scooped him up as quickly as we could. He's been doing phenomenal work here, a really exceptional leader. And let's move to Lacey. Lacey, it's so wonderful to have you here today. Let me tell you a little bit about Lacey, and I want her to share her experience at Hudson County Community College. Her background is different from what most of us, certainly most in the community, think about when they think about community colleges. But she represents a constituency here that we're very proud of. Lacey has her master's degree in landscape architecture from Cornell University. She's from Minnesota. She did her undergraduate work at University of Minnesota. And she has chosen to come back and take courses in biology at Hudson County Community College. I think partly as a result of you having met one of our students. Tell us your story, Lacey. How did you get from Minnesota to here? I know you work for the New York City Department of Transportation and the Staten Island Ferry. Tell us how you got to where you are now and what you're doing now at Hudson County Community College and how that's supporting your own goals.
Sure. So I did my undergraduate degree, like you said, at the University of Minnesota in recreation and outdoor education. So I didn't have the foresight of Dr. Yearwood in thinking about what track I could go to get me to certain things. I just thought, oh, well, I guess I have to go to college. And then, interestingly, I spent some time after undergraduate, and I worked at the South Pole Station in Antarctica.
Oh my gosh.
I worked as a cook, but I was surrounded by scientists as they were looking into the universe and looking at these massive telescopes. So I'd be sitting at our dinner table with carpenters because they were building the new station, as well as scientists from the Smithsonian, from the University of Wisconsin, who are asking these very big questions. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do with my life? Because I'm not going to play ultimate frisbee. And I went to graduate school in landscape architecture. It was being surrounded by that iced landscape where there is nothing for 13 months. I wintered over, so it was dark for a number of months. And I thought, how do we build the landscapes around us? And so not being around nature in terms of the plant and sort of like terrestrial systems that we think of, but just ice for a year had a really huge impact. So I ended up going to graduate school at Cornell University in landscape architecture, where I spent 3 years learning about landscape engineering, how the urban as well as sort of natural environment around us and how we can transform it with design. So I ended up at Hudson County Community College. I'm 10 years past getting my master's degree, and I have a career in transportation infrastructure. And I went into a storage unit facility. I had to store some stuff. And the young woman who was showing me the storage facility units, talking me through the contract, I was just so taken by her. And I said, oh, so is this your full-time job? And she said, well, actually, I'm a full-time student at Hudson County Community College. I said, you do that and you are full-time work? And she said, yes. And so I talked to her a little bit more. I gave her my card and I said, Cassie, I'd like you to reach out to me. And thank goodness she did. She sent me an email not too many days later, and we started a conversation. And we talked a little bit about her interest in civil engineering, how she was working towards getting that associate's in engineering technology. And she's now just graduated from NJIT. I worked hard to find an opportunity for her to intern with us at the New York City Department of Transportation in our resiliency unit. And she worked with us for almost 2.5 years. And so now she's got a full-time position at an engineering firm. And I just thought, wow, if Cassie can find a way to make this work, I certainly can.
And so you have a master's degree. You have a really, great job. Why take more classes?
That's a great question. So I do a lot of work on the coastal resiliency infrastructure. And as we think about rising sea level, the rising sea level, as well as the increasing extreme storm events, I started to think about the broader climate. Also, because I work in the coastal system, we do a lot of in-water work, and I work with a lot of federal regulators. And so in those conversations with regulators, we talk about the ecology and the ecosystems of those facilities, as well as the impact that we have when we build infrastructure. And I thought, how can I be more conversant? How can I be on their level when we talk about these systems? Because I'm so engineering focused, I'm so design focused, that I realized I had lost sight of the broader environment in which we're working in and those constituents of that habitat. And so I thought, I want to explore that. And I also, growing up in Minnesota, I was surrounded by nature, grew up camping and enjoying the outdoors. And I wanted to get a little bit closer to understanding our place in that system.
And so you chose to enroll in biology and other courses at Hudson County Community College. Can you talk, and you've been here since 19, I think January of 19.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you expected your experience here to be. coming from the background you're coming from and what you actually experienced?
So there was a lot of stigma or preconceived notions that I had about community college before I came. And of course, when Cassie was my intern, we talked a lot about her experience. I was asking her questions. So what are your classes like? How much homework do you get? What's the quality of your professors? And she helped me get a better picture of what to expect. And so I thought, I'm going to dip my toe in the water. So I took a college algebra class, and that was the winter session. And I thought, okay, let me just do this short little class and see how it goes. Oh my word, I was blown away by the humor of the professor, the willingness to work just sort of right next to me to help me understand problems where math is not one of my strong suits. And I thought, well, if this is what it's going to be like, and the class size was such that it was really sort of reasonable, I was able to have opportunities to converse with other students. We were able to do the homeworks together, and I thought, this seems like a really good fit for me. So then I enrolled in the spring semester for additional classes. I took 2 other classes in the spring semester, including biology. And having that lab experience, being able to experience the STEM building, I thought, look at these resources, 3D printers, there's all sorts of high-tech lab equipment. And I thought, this is not what I thought community college was going to be like. And I was sold.
And I think you shared with me earlier you were a bit apprehensive about coming into a classroom being surrounded by 18-year-olds, and what would you say? And what was your experience actually like?
Yeah, so I'm in my early 40s, and I'm pretty far along in my career, and I thought, well, what's this going to be like? And instead of thinking I was going to be with a bunch of kids who were just out of high school and I have nothing in common with them, it was such a rich diversity of students from all backgrounds, educational, cultural, and their willingness to take me along with them in our educational experience really was transformational for me. And realizing that we're all entering, say, biology 101 at the same level, but we're here together and we're learning these same concepts. So everything that I imagined community college to be, which was primarily not incredibly positive, was blown away. And the Hudson County Community College really functions is a top class college.
And you weren't the only person of your age in the classroom.
No, and that's what shocked me.
Not that you're old, you're not.
No, of course, that's what shocked me. And in
Yeah.
conversations with other students, it was people who have families at home, people who are in transition in their career, people who are my age or older, which I couldn't even comprehend at that point. And I thought, this is amazing. This college is for everyone.
I think approximately 35% of our students are over the age of 25, and the spectrum is phenomenal. We have students in high school finishing their associate degrees. We have students at every age. And students often share with me that diversity, that rich diversity in the classroom and outside, it really provides its own dynamic sort of learning experience. Like younger folks are very willing to help older students. For example, if you're like me, you don't understand technology at all, and you need the help, and you're bringing your rich perspective and experience to the classroom, and young people benefit from that. And so this diversity really adds, doesn't it, to the richness of the educational experience.
Absolutely. We each have so much to offer each other. And like you said about the technology, I'd never worked on everything was pen and paper when I was in school. And there was just the email. And now we're working on, video platforms, Canvas. What an incredible resource that is. working on digital textbooks. And so I needed their help to sort of give me some of those tools and how I can improve my learning or my study strategies, where they would come to me with some broader questions about systems and programs related to whether it was just sort of what happens after college. And we have so much to offer each other.
Right. And Dr. Yearwood, Burl, tell us a little bit about your experience as an academic leader working closely with faculty and students. What have you, can you share some of your observations of our students, where they go from here, what their experience is like from your perspective?
So I think our students are inspirational. They're amazing. They, considering where they come from, we have students who speak very little English when they first arrived, and you look at how they progress. You have students who are working a full-time job. They're working a midnight shift. They show up for class at 8 a.m. They're engaged even though they're tired from working. The students are amazing because they put forth the effort. They appreciate the value of an education. They have the foresight to think about what their education means to them, and they're looking forward to the next step. And that's sort of their excitement, you share that with them, you share their aspirations, and it motivates you as an educator. Part of it, to be honest, for me is selfish, because the one thing I can say about the students at Hudson is that they're diverse. They're diverse in their thought, their background, their beliefs. And so that rich diversity, I believe, is needed, especially in STEM. STEM has been and continues to be a very narrow field when it comes to diversity. And Hudson is one of the schools that's able to enrich that diversity. It's one of the passions of mine. So, not to increase the diversity in STEM, in terms of, not only gender, but, the ethnic diversity, the diversity of thought that comes from these different backgrounds. So I think the students are amazing, to be honest. Most of them are so motivated to do better. It motivates you to want to do better.
I couldn't agree with you more, and man, we could talk forever about this. What's amazing to me is our students come to us with all of those sort of life barriers that they navigate so successfully, and when they leave us, they go on to incredibly sophisticated, distinctive places. This year we had 2 Jack Kent Cooke undergraduate transfer scholars. One of them, notably, we interviewed recently, Pedro Moranchel. His whole future is going to be pursuing a doctorate in physics. He has now a full ride at Princeton. And he wants to come back and teach in STEM, and he wants to be a mentor and role model, helping students from traditionally underrepresented backgrounds pursue STEM careers. So wonderful to watch. I get goosebumps when I talk about this. Before we wind up, let me just ask you, Lacey, tell us where you're headed. What are your future career goals?
Oh, career goals.
Or other.
Or other. So I think my expectation when I first started taking classes at HCCC was, let me see how this goes. So I felt like it was a low risk sort of scenario for me. And I thought, let me just see how this goes. But now as I've progressed now, and I'm nearing the close of the course load that I need to advance, I've started to reach out to different schools to identify pathways into a master's or a PhD program in ecology or biology. So what has been wonderful is that HCCC has really set me on track for that. And what has been such a wonderful sort of surprise to me is that it's even giving me that opportunity to get lab and research experience, which I'm doing with Dr. Lee in the lab, which PhD programs, master's programs really look at, where I would never have had an opportunity to do that otherwise.
Lacey and Burl, thank you so much for sharing your rich experiences and perspectives. You personify what I think we are all so excited about it at Hudson County Community College. It's a place that really is transformational. We have a habit when we end these podcasts. We ask our guests to tell us if they could describe their Hudson County Community College experience in one word. What would that word be? Burl?
Dedication.
Dedication?
Inclusive.
Inclusive, and my word's always inspirational. Thank you so much, Lacey and Burl. This was a wonderful conversation. I would love to talk more. And thank you all for joining us for this session of Out of the Box. We hope you'll visit our website, hccc.edu, and share this podcast with your family and friends. And please stay safe and well. Thank you.